Good evening. Oh, that's wrong. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? Let's bring that up there. Welcome to the Wiz Motorsport Track Titan GT Tour. Sorry, slightly off my game there. There is a slight server issue, which we're looking to fix. I was trying to bring up some other footage in the meantime. Excellent, phenomenal start. Good evening. My name is Double O Raven, John Wright. Of course, I have the pleasure and the privilege of leading us through this 7-round competition. 1 hour race. 2 of the races will be 30 minutes. Other than that, it is 1 hour with a mandatory stop for fuel over the series. And yeah, as I said, 7 races we will have. Monza, Paul Ricard, Bathurst will be 2 30-minute races. Spa will be 2 30-minute races. Full points available in both of those. The Nürburgring, Barcelona, and in round number 7, Suzuka. We're at Monza this evening. A turn 1 that puts the fear of God into most drivers. But to be fair, with the new tyre physics, I think I would rather be at Monza's turn 1 than Suzuka turn 1 for my first outing in a league race. But we'll see how the drivers get on this evening. This, of course, some footage from the final race of last series. The Track Titan, as you can see, sponsors of the series as well as Formula Racing. And thanks to and also in partnership with Dalking as well, I hasten to add. Thanks to those two sponsors, Formula Setups, there will be 2 prizes of a full setup bundle, which will be drawn by the rickety wheel at the end of the league. So make sure you go over to Formula Setups and give them a try. And also Track Titan. There will be a 1-month free code for all entrants that complete 3 events or more. And each podium in the silver and the pros will win a 1-year subscription for first, a 6-month subscription for second, and a 3-month subscription for third. So make sure you give Track Titan a test as well. Yet the broadcast is in English, so if we could put it in, there we go. Where is Ostrap? At the moment, the drivers are all just getting ready for qualifying. There was a slight server issue, so I'm just going to check and see if we are up and running. We should indeed be. There's a 15-minute qualifying session for each of the races. So yeah, still having the servers just being reset so we can get it up and running. Yeah, so there was another slight issue there, so there we go. Yeah, that is now being sorted as well. So we'll get a quick server restart. Monza tonight, 1922 this track was built, and it was less than a week ago. There was a fairly major overhaul to the tyre physics on the sim we all know and love. It's been interesting. Claims of understeer and weak force feedback. Personally, haven't seen too much of that myself. How are we going to see the action into turn number 1 this evening? We'll have 24 pros, 20 silvers, all on track at the same time. It is a combined qualifying session as well. So a straight 15-minute shootout for all 44 drivers that are registered. 7 rounds, as I said. Opening Monza. Paul Ricard next. A tricky track to say the least. I wasn't a big fan of it the first time I ever drove it, but it certainly lends to some phenomenal racing. And then Bathurst, the mountain, 2 30-minute races around there. Promises to be phenomenal. We've got Spa as well. It's another 2 30-minute race event. Then the Nürburgring, Barcelona and Suzuka. The calendar, it does pretty much run as a warm-up to the SRO Sports event. So the dates basically run a week before the SRO. So we are, of course, April 25th today, May 9th, and then May the 16th. Will be the next 2 rounds that we have. Then June the 13th. Then it's a gap to July the 11th for the Nürburgring. Then end of August for Barcelona. And very nearly the end of August for Barcelona. August the 22nd. And then it is August the 29th. Right at the end of August, the competition finishes at Suzuka. So yeah, tell you what, we'll bring up the other advert as well. There we go. Just waiting on the server, as I say, to restart. Normally we would be underway by now, just for future reference. There we go. Okay, so we have cars joining. Excellent stuff. And as many of them as possible, getting out on track to do a quick lap. Evan Cairns already well out. That's completely frozen for me. Hopefully we'll go with that soon. And the first livery that we see hasn't worked either, so there we go. Nice to see. Is the Ferrari 296 the problem child? Beautiful car, no idea why that livery hasn't worked. It definitely should have. It does seem somewhat fitting. Oh no, we've jumped off of there. Mind of its own again this evening. Phenomenal stuff. Just enjoying the sounds of the new Ferrari there, let's face it, it's one to be enjoyed, that's for sure. Let's just give that a bit more game volume. Yeah, so the drivers are going to file back in as soon as we've got everyone in. The qualifying session will start. As I said, it's a 15-minute quali session. 1 hour race tonight, 1 mandatory stop for fuel. The amount of fuel taken on board is entirely at the driver's discretion. The only requirement is that they take on fuel. Yeah, disappointing that's not worked. Got a quick look at some of the drivers. We've got Gunther Deportier, we've got Neil Mellon, Jake Rose for Wiz Motorsports out. We've got Matt Redfern, Anthony Appleyard, Gianluca De Luca, Nigel O'Brien, Ostap Pavlik, I believe is who we were looking for in the chat not so long ago, Turner Motorsport. And there he is there, M. Cairns, of course. Here's Jason Lingard, Richard Vanema, Volodya Yadstushchak, who does have a very similar name to another driver. It's going to be fun if they two get close. There's Milchin Teru Jacob. We've got Glarum of the Eric variety, Gavin Taylor, Coleman Corkery, one Darren King in the Lamborghini. Mr. Dalking himself, of course. Jonathan Thel. We've got Alex Zagdal. Speedy, quick. Ferrante's in there as well. So is Moschella. Another in the Ferrari. Craig Townsend for Big Brain Racing. I was just presiding over a race they were in at the weekend, actually. Jan Willem van Ormen for the FFS Racing. Former world champ. Bit quick as well, so we'll see. This is going to be an interesting season. Nick Langer's in there. Ian Paskin. Kieran McGuckin. Trevor Minton. Vittoria Cava. And there we go. Kurasov and Tietov as well. And that is the mad dash begun. So at the moment, 31 cars have made it into qualifying so far. Still got time to get a couple more in, I think. Strong showing from the Wiz Motorsport team. For some reason, the Lambo livery hasn't worked. Jason Lingard, the Wiz Motorsports, has been given a stop go 30 seconds for causing contact. From race control. So not sure what's going on there. That might not be 100% livery. Wiz liveries are indeed. They are indeed. I'm quite gutted. Like I say, I did get all the liveries in today, and the Ferrari hasn't worked. But yeah, the rest of them definitely have. Just to confirm, yeah, because Lingard. Oh no, the Lambo hasn't worked. The McLaren definitely has. There we go. Do you... There we go. So yeah, there is Jan Willem van Ormen. Let's say a bit quick. So we've got the outlaps, 12 minutes 30 seconds left to go. Gunther Tabor here. Oh no, he's not going to be the first one to cross the line. We'll see who's first over. A couple of the liveries we'll need to check. I know that Raf can hear what's going on as well, but for some reason the Lambo and the Ferrari haven't worked for Wiz Motorsport, but the McLaren, the Porsche and the Mercedes have. So we'll need to see if we can get them sorted. And yeah, we're going to have an extra screen as well at some point. We've got Raf doing the stewarding for this evening's event. So we'll be lending some, we'll be borrowing some footage from his screen as well during the race, and maybe catch a couple of replays as well. Everyone still filing their way through. We'll see times set very quickly. All the drivers, as I said, everyone involved, both classes go out at the same time. 32 now we've got in the server, as Anthony Christian Garbers has joined as well. I'll get a full count on how many pros and silvers in a mo. Deportier, there we go. Evan Cairns, he was first out in practice. He's in the new Ferrari and he's half a second on provisional pole at the moment. Jake Rose in second. Deportier crosses the line to go third. Times are all going to come flying in. There goes Glarum up to the front row. Jonathan Thel goes quicker. Darren King, 147.5, a second ahead of the rest of the field straight away. Van Ommen follows. I'm only 4/10 behind. They've locked out the front row. Townsend and Tierhoff second time. So too Minton coming in 10th place provisionally. Strong showing from the new Ferrari. Looking forward to getting the hands on this one myself, got to be honest. Yes, Chusik then. So it's 13 drivers got a time in. Neil Mellon, 5.5 seconds off the pace at the moment. He'll still have plenty of time in the tank, I'm sure. There goes Alex Zakdal. I did mention at the start he was a bit quick. He's just put himself into third, almost exactly the same time as Evan Cairns and Jonathan Thel. What is that? 300ths of a second separating those three. Still Darren King on the front row. McGuckin sets the time. Kudasov gets a time in. Yes, Tuschak gets a time as well. Deportier now down to 11th with Mielchin sitting in 10th. 1.8 off the pace. Glarham and Rose both a second and a half off the pace as we see the Wiz McLaren go whizzing off through the Lesmos. Onto the back straight. We've got Ferrant just set a time as well. Nothing changing up at the front though. Still Darren King in the Lamborghini. And he's about to finish another lap. Let's see what this one brings him. Round the last corner. Bit of parabolica right on the inside line. No improvement on that lap. We've got a lot of times now in. Ian Paskin still a set of time. That's 24 cars now set a flying lap. Jason Lingard in 22nd position at the moment. 6 seconds off the pace. 32 cars. Even around the track as long as the 3.6 miles at Monza. Very easy to get caught up in traffic, although it should be plenty of slipstream available for the drivers as well. None for Darren at the moment. He's comfortably. Oh, in fact, in saying that, Van Ommen has just gone quicker there. That one flew under the radar. He's found 2.5 tenths there to get to within a tenth, and he is now right behind the big brain Mercedes of Townsend, who just pops himself over. So a bit of a slingshot there. Oh, Van Ommen can't make his way past. He has jammed on the brakes. He's back out of that lap. Townsend carries on. Van Ommen on the front row of the grid. At the front row at the moment, 7 tenths ahead of the rest of the field. And the next 7 tenths separates 10 drivers. So it just goes to show you the pace difference that they've got up at the front at the moment. Deportier cross the line. Glarham does go quicker. Thel finds a bit of time as well. He's within half a second then a pole position. So the rest of the field catching back up to the front row. Thel in the 2.96. Half a second off the pace. Van Ommen back out of the pits. Rose on a good time. So too Coleman Corkery, the Wiz Motorsport Aston Martin. That livery's worked as well. Through Parabolica, or certainly as I like to sometimes call it, Pramabolica, because one mistake round there and toys are getting thrown clean out of the pram. Corkery doesn't bring that time across the line, still sitting in 5th position then. Venema in the pits in 14th, Tietoff 3 tenths to find there. He's got Garber's half a tenth behind him. We have seen 30 drivers set times. Cava is just about to start a flying lap. Ian Paskin is just about to finish his in the Audi. Let's see what he does across the line. 6 minutes to go. 9 minutes of the qualifying done and dusted. And there he goes then, 24th place with a 1:49.9. So yeah, if I was qualifying in this race, I'd currently be 29th. That's not too bad. Up at the front of the grid, Evan Cairns and Nigel O'Brien, the two Wiz Motorsport drivers, both got a bit of time in the glove box. And in fact, O'Brien pulls into the pits despite being a 10th up. Cairns is a 10th up. He's got to get through the Lesmos and the Scary though. Right out on the grass there. Is that going to be a valid lap? Nope, it is not. Oh no, it is. Is he getting away with that as a valid lap? We will see. Ostap Pavlik finds himself 22nd place. He has just set a 48.6 hour. It wasn't valid, unfortunately. So he does have about 1.2 seconds over the course, but he did invalidate the last lap, so that one won't count. Right, Garber's through the Lesmos, got 3/10. Lingard, and in fact Darren King just exiting the first chicane. Jonathan Fell doing the same. He got a good run at the last corner. That's going to carry good momentum onto the next lap. Evan Cairns and Jason Lingard both looking a bit quick. Alex Milchin as well, going green in the deltas at the moment. Lingard. Oh, Darren King, wow. Found a lot of time there. He was 3/10 up on his lap. He still might hold this. Oh, he really is using that exit curb. Has he used too much of it? Nope, the lap is still valid. Lingard following him through as well. Into Ascari, he's got 2/10. Gianluca De Luca, Jake Rose suddenly turning green. Michela, oh, really setting that Ferrari there, and it was 6/10 to the good, so it was on a full send mode there. No way he was carrying that type of momentum through the first chicane. And Darren King is on an absolute worldie compared to the rest of the field here at the moment. I'm not sure he's getting a cheeky extra bit of slipstream. He's certainly catching up to the Aston Martin ahead of him. He is 4/10 up on his lap time. Potential to do a 46 here as he rounds the last corner. He is still getting a bit of slipstream, which he is being encouraged to use. Slingshots across the line. 1:47.1. 4/10 of a second there. And he may well have a Wiz Motorsport McLaren to thank for that one. Stand up Gavin Taylor. So there we go, nice bit of slipstream. Van Omen doing the chasing now. He does have 3/10 of a second through the second chicane. It's funny, Monza is one of these tracks. Everyone talks about turn 1 at Monza. I guarantee you, like I say, the drivers would rather be here than Suzuka round 1 on the new tyre physics, because Suzuka is an entirely different proposition, turn 1. Entirely different proposition. The real killer at Monza is the second chicane. People make it through the first chicane and breathe a sigh of relief. And just as they're finishing the exhale, they're into the second chicane, and then the Shadow Realm, and then the pits. So we'll see if the drivers, how they got on this evening. The all-new physics could certainly play a factor. The tyres race, was a 24-hour race. I was part of the commentary team at the weekend. Some of the teams were saying the tyres were lasting barely 45 minutes. So over an hour race, yeah, it could be interesting to see how the drivers fare. No mandatory tyre swap in the pits, so yeah, some of the courses, will we see some tyre changes? You never know. There we go, 33 degrees track temperature. Sorry, my pit wall was having a bit of a moment there, but we are back up and running. Let me get this up. Yuka Farmer. Oh yeah, thank you for first one in the chat this evening. Thank you for jumping in. Yeah, there's a couple of the cars unfortunately not showing their liveries. We use awesome sim racing, awesome liveries. But yes, all the liveries are up on there. So awesome sim racing. Yeah, so I'm not sure 100% if it's an issue at the website's end or occasionally the drivers will pick the wrong car. When I say the wrong car, the wrong number on the car in the livery doesn't show. But yeah, unfortunately there is a couple that haven't shown, but they hopefully will. Gunther Deportier at the minute. There is a few seconds left of qualifying. He's in 8th overall in the silvers, and in fact Alex Zakdal, I was just about to say, going very quickly indeed. He's starting in 4th place. Now, as said at the start, he was very quick. I can't see him being in the silvers for long. That is row number 2 then. Darren King has got more time. Is he going to get into the 1 minute 46s? On the way into Parabolica, it was certainly being threatened. He is absolutely ragdolling the Lamborghini around the course, and not to be 147.1. It does look like pole position sewn up with a half a second gap over Jan Willem van Oven. Then it is Jason Lingard on row number 2, and he'll be joined by Alex Silver's Zakdal. I think someone might have been sandbagging in the qualifying process. Jonathan Thell's going to start 4th place in the pros, 5th overall. Then it's Evan Cairns and Eric Glearman. Coleman Corkery going to start in 8th overall. Race into the draw from this one looks mega close. Can't wait for the next round. Funky Monkey indeed. Unbelievably close between a lot of these drivers. John Luca trying to set a time, and that is qualifying done. Let's bring up the official timetable actually, and that will give us a better look. So there is the silver qualifying then. Alex Zakdal, 3rd overall he's going to start. 4th overall, sorry. The excitement was too much for me there. But Zakdal and Deportier leading the way in the silvers, with Pavlik and Jakob in 3rd and 4th. Venema and Jastusiak in 6th. Gavin Taylor in 7th position. Paskin, Appleyard, Mellon, Minton, Ferrant and McGuckin, the 13 drivers in the silvers. In the pro, all hail the king. It is Darren King with a half-second gap over the rest of the field. Jan Willem van Omen in 2nd. Jason Lingard, I keep saying Jesse Lingard, who does, of course, play a bit of that football stuff. Jason Lingard, the sim racer in the Lamborghinis, on row number 2 and 3rd. Thel is next up in the pros. He'll start 5th, with Evan Cairns and Glarum starting 6th and 7th. It's Corkery in 8th. Gunther Deportier, another silver driver, in the top 10. Phenomenal display by these two silver drivers. Moschella and Rose, 10th and 11th. Starting off then, it's DeLuca and O'Brien. Pavlik, 3rd in the silver, starts 14th overall and finds himself between O'Brien and Cava. Then it's a couple of silvers before we get Langer, Tietoff and Redfern, 18th, 19th and 20th. We've got Garber is going to start 21st with Townsend in 22nd place, with Alex Mielchin just behind him in 23rd. And then it is Anthony Kudasov. Sorry, Artem Kudasov. How do you get that one wrong? Starting in 25th overall. And we have had a 33rd driver join. Mikhail Shade has made it in right at the end there. So another pro. He will start right at the back of the field in 33rd position, having not set a time. Let us just quickly, while the drivers get themselves ready. Yeah, just a quick reminder in the chat, of course. You cannot win a race in turn 1, but you absolutely can lose one. A wise man once said, a far wiser man than me, that is for sure. But yeah, big shout out, of course, and a mention to the series sponsors, Track Titan and Formula Setups. Some phenomenal prizes up for grabs. The Formula Setup team have given 2 full setup bundles, which will be given away at the end of the season. And Track Titan have very generously agreed to give each driver that takes part in 3 or more races a 1-month subscription, and then prize-wise for both the silver division and the pros, it will be a 1 year, a 6-month and a 3-month subscription for first, second and third respectively in each of those divisions. So make sure you go over to Track Titan and Formula Setup to check out the preliminary and the setups that they've got on offer, and thank them and show them some support for supporting the sim racing series that we are about to be treated to. And what a treat it is going to be. It is a short formation lap, so just around the last corner. 1 mandatory pit stop to take on fuel. How much fuel the drivers take on board is entirely up to them. So you can almost guarantee that at least 99% of the field will go for a 1 litre splash and dash. Anything to save time in the pit stop. I am trying to think of where I really should be. Let's get that out of the way. So here we go then for Monza. And yeah, Zagdal comfortably leading the way for the silvers, and it's a green light, flat down, foot out, straight into turn 1 as Dan King goes maintains the lead. Jan Willem van Ommen straight into his slipstream. In fact, the front 4 all going to single file. Dan King moving over to take the driving line at Zagdal, having a look around it outside, looking to get himself up at the 3rd overall. Oh, slight contact there, massive concertina effect, and that was more than just a slight contact in the background, as you can see. What can only be described as Monza turn 1 happening. There's cars through the slip road, some of them, there we go, that's how we make up 17th position. Oh, and there's quite a few cars stuck on the loading screen as well, so we're missing a couple of cars here, but yeah, that was... Oh, I've got the wrong screen on, okay, yep. There we go, so we did miss the start of that, apologies. I was trying to hide it was. Some big contact though into turn number 1. We'll get that sorted out very shortly, as we can see Jason Lingard into turn number 2, into the second chicane, looking to hold on the advances of Alex Zagdal then. Evan Cairns has been one of the big beneficiaries here. He's up to 5th position. Jonathan Thel in 6th place. You have Tusick now finds himself battling. Oh, and that's a big spin there from the BMW. And that is Jas Tuschak then on the way into Ascari. Oh, and in fact, that was a 3-way knock-on effect as a Ferrari came through. Oh, and there's a big contact again. One of the Wiz Motorsports cars having to carefully rejoin there. The Porsche that we saw involved in an earlier incident now finds himself back up in the positions. There's Gavin Taylor closing in on Kudasov in the Audi. It's all going on then, as we can see Pavlik being overtaken. Oh, a few drivers coming into the pits to get their stop done early. The BMW of Pavlik suffering a bit there. We've got 2 Wiz Motorsport cars. That's Alec Milchin and Jake Rose looking to get himself back in contention for top 10 positions into turn number 1. They fall back into place. Venema and Tiathov finding their way into the pits at the end of lap number 1. And while all that was going on behind them, Darren King, Jan Willem van Ommen, Jason Lingard, Alex Zagdal, Evan Cairns, and indeed Jonathan Thel breaking away from the rest of the field. They've now got a 1.8 second gap back to Eric Glarum there. Another driver in the Ferrari, Gianluca De Luca in 8th place, Michelle in 9th, and Coleman Corkery all over the back of him. In fact, with Vittorio Cava on the way out with the Lesmos right in that slipstream there. There's Deportier behind, still running 2nd in the silvers. Pavlik still running 3rd place. Gav Taylor in 4th, and Ferrant now up into 5th place after a few incidents early doors. Let me just see if I can confirm one. Yeah, we've had 5 cars In fact, 7 cars come into the pits so far. Oh, as we see the BMW in the background, straight off the track as well on the exit to Ascari. That is not an exit corner that you want to spend too much time messing with. Appleyard's in the pit, Mellon and Townsend currently in the pits as well, so big drops in position there after the contacts on lap 1. Corkery chasing his way into turn number 1 with Moschella being afforded double slipstream from Galerum and DeLuca then. 3 wide into turn 1, Aston Martin, Ferrari and Lamborghini, with another Aston Martin and Ferrari joining in for good measure. Oh, slight contact through the middle phase of the corner, but they both live to lap another day. Just about. Oh no, the BMW in the back end, that's Deportier. Nigel O'Brien making his way through. Nick Langer then, another BMW, not the one I was looking for, but Milchin putting him under pressure, and it is Pavlik then that's carrying that damage. Ostap Pavlik, 17th overall, but 3rd in the silvers. That is certainly a position that could come under serious threat. As we see Gavin Taylor lurking in the background. Rose is still in the pits there. It's been a sizable chunk of time he spent in there. So too Craig Townsend. We can see from the damage that Townsend is carrying, it's going to take more than a visit to Quick Fix to get that one running again. We've got Milchin still in 16th position, but he's all over the back of Langer, who's got that damage. In fact, both BMWs carrying damage, as Pavlik, as we saw, struggling as well. He sends Milchin around the outside. Milchin obliges, or looks to, pulls back into line, and tell you, that's Pavlik's made it through. Kudasov has ended up off track, and that is almost an unguided miss out of Pavlik as well. Ascari really causing issues for these drivers then. As we can see, Shade in the background in the Porsche, no longer in the background as he goes. Oh, and he's going to be boxed in. He's tried to go around the outside on the way into Parabolica, but there is a forlorn BMW in front of him. No place for him to go. The Audi's position saved then by Pavlik, but I don't think it's going to do either of them much good going into the next corner. As Shade got a good run out of Parabolica. The damage on the BMW certainly going to find them in trouble here with Shade. Better on the brakes, you would say, on the way into turn 1. Taylor in the background as well. That's a lot of slipstream he's got. He's going to close right in there. Very nicely done there by Gavin Taylor to close in. And in the background, Matt Redfern, the Big Brain Racing team. Oh, and he's just given that Ferrari. Was that a Ferrari? Or was that the race leader? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I think that was actually Darren King making his way through there, because the gap between himself and Van Ommen has now more than half. 1.1 seconds the last time they went through a timing delta. It's now a quarter of a second as they head through Ascari. Langer still all over the back of Milchin, with O'Brien and Deportier still tussling for 11th position. Moschella and Galerum all over the back of Gianluca De Luca as well, with Evan Cairns looking to get himself up to 5th at the expense of Jonathan Fell. Lingard as well looking very quick behind Zakdal. Now that Zakdal in the silvers has gotten himself up into 3rd position. So the Ferrari serving Zakdal well on home soil, that is for sure. Let's keep an eye on the race for the battle. Oh, out with that last corner, I tell you what. The Lamborghini seemingly leaving the Aston Martin absolutely for dead there. A massive gap opened up. Bit of a, in the background, that's Evan Cairns going side by side. No, I do apologise. It was Jason Lingard going side by side. There is a car being blue flagged. He's just got a bit wide off track. We'll have seen a penalty handed out. In fact, Artem Kudasov on Nick Langer into turn 1. The Audi versus the BMW. And the Audi. Oh, and we've got, a penalty coming in for lap 1, turn 1. And it's Lauren Tiethoff. I hope I'm getting that someplace close to correct. There was a big contact into turn 1, so it's a 10-second penalty that he'll serve in his pit stop. Quickly looking up the boards, we can see that Coleman Corkery His lap time certainly coming together since he was caught up in the early drama. He's all over the back of Garber's at the moment, into and out of the Lesmos. Oh, and in fact, we might not be able to watch this because up in the top 10. Oh, we're going to jump on board with Evan Cairns. Oh, that's a big move over. He's got no more defensive moves left, you would feel. And that has played right into the hands of Corkery. He's going to have the inside line on the way into Ascari. Or he would have if the driver on the outside line had... Oh, although in saying that, it does look like there's been... there was another incident there that he was potentially trying to avoid. Oh, and we've missed it there. But that is... someone we were just checking in on. I think it's Jazz Tushik. It certainly wasn't Gavin Taylor, but that is another coming together there, so it's causing problems right through the field at the moment. Ascari really is. We're less than 10 minutes in, and it's causing issues right through both classes. Michelle all over the back of Glairum. These two inside the top 10, and in fact looking at points for 7th and 8th with Zakdal being in the silvers. Cava looking to get his way past Garber. Oh, and I think there's been a bit of contact there as well. On the way into turn 1, it's Garbers and Cava. Both in the new Ferrari. If they do make contact here, I'm not sure how pleased Enzo will be. It might have just been a slow exit out of turn number 1. It's Cava that's in the rear at the minute. There was a bit of a wiggle on the way into the corner. Oh, and he's just carrying a lot of speed through the middle phase. It does make contact. And he is behind Garbers then. The new update may have brought some interesting tyre physics for the drivers to get used to, but certainly the contact physics massively improved. Not that you want to see contact, it does inevitably happen though. And when it does, it's nice to know that both drivers won't end up shadow realmed and sitting watching the broadcast for 45-9 minutes rather than taking part in the race. So yeah, if contact can be avoided, always the best. But it is in motor racing fairly inevitable. Giuseppe Michela on his way into, just on the way out of Parabolica, right up on the rear spoiler. And you can see the slipstream effect there on his way to the braking zone at turn number 1. 175 metres, he's going to jam on those anchors. His competitor heavy on the brakes. Oh, and that is some rough racing there from both drivers, if we are being honest. Of course, we were on board there, so we didn't get a clear view. But yeah, you would say both could definitely have done better. There is Deportier then in the silvers. He's going to make his way inside the top 10 overall into turn number 2. Ahead of them in the pros, Jonathan Thel. Still all over the back of Jason Lingard. Lingard on the podium in the silvers. It's Zakdal ahead of... In the pros, sorry, because Zakdal in the silvers just ahead of him. Glairum and Deportier into the Lesmos. Glairum looking for a move around the outside. Deportier holding his nerve, the racing line and his ground. And managing to maintain 9th overall. So great drive there. Pavlik comes into the pits. No doubt getting that damage fixed. Where we see the other BMW, Jaz Tushjak. Another car who suffered some fairly hefty damage, along with the other BMW of Nick Langer. Langer on his way to Ascari at the moment, as you can see. Now he does have a bit of pace still in a straight line, and that is a blue flag. He's looking to go past Tiethov, who's just come out of the pits and served that 10-second penalty, so he'll have taken on board his mandatory fuel. And as you can see, damage on both of those cars there. It's going to be an interesting one, and Langer has got his nose in front, but there is Tiru Jakob, sorry, he's looking for a position then. In fact, no, he's not. It's Townsend? Melon? Oh, it's Appleyard coming out of the last corner. He is all back over the back of Teethorf. So Teethorf not been in the pits. He's actually had another incident come off track. He's back on. This the BMW is rejoining the race. So it really is all going on there. That's 17th, 29th, 30th and 31st. Having themselves a pal. 31st. Wow. That's not going to go away anytime soon. Eric Glareham on his way out of the pits. He will be good to go and up at the front. Now with a 2-second gap. This was down to 0.2 of a second a few laps ago. On their way through Ascari. But Dan King in the Lambo. Absolutely flying. Van Ommen, no slouch himself. Lapping in the low 1 minute 48 and himself got a 4-second gap back to third place in Alex Zakdal in the Ferrari. Lingard on the podium still bringing Jonathan Thel with him in his slipstream. We have now had almost a dozen cars come in to take their pit stops, some of them through damage, some of them to fulfill their mandatory requirements. Neil Mellon is back out, and it's actually Andy Appleyard, as you see, still involved in this battle of cars ahead of him. That's 17th place and 16th that he finds himself catching up to. There it is, there. Oh, Kurasov just running a bit wide through Parabolica then, and that is Langer. Oh, and the Audi almost completely losing grip there. Very nearly took himself out of Porsche, moves over. No room at the end. Langer up to 15th position. He does have a hard chasing Ferrari straight up the inside though. And yeah, that is Teethorf then, so that is a blue flag situation. We've got another 5-second penalty. That is for Glareham in 21st, so he'll serve that. Oh, and another turn 1 incident then. So yeah, Monza turn 1 is certainly living up to the hype, unfortunately. A couple of penalties so far. The stewards still checking everything over. Any more updates? And we'll get them straight to you. No update up at the front. Darren King. Absolutely flying. Jan Willem van Ommen 2.3 seconds down, but with twice that gap back to third place. And Zakdal as well, potentially being helped slightly by Lingard and Thel battling, but Zakdal, as he showed in qualifying, qualified 4th overall. Currently running in third, and yeah, potentially that being helped by Jonathan Thel here, keeping Lingard more than busy, although the gap's stretching out then just to a second. 43 minutes into the race. The track temperature sitting at 33 degrees, and as I was saying, 24-hour race I was presiding over at the weekend. Some of the drivers were saying 45 minutes seemed to be about the tyre life, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone does actually change tyres in their pit stop. Normally it wouldn't even be a question over a 1-hour race. It certainly looks to be that way. A lot of blue flags going on there. Redfern now in 17th. Seems to be the car in 17th that's constantly surrounded by traffic. Garber's in 13th. Oh, the BMW missing the way in, the Porsche missing the way out, and the Ferrari says thank you very much, I'll have a double overtake sooner rather than later, as he exits turn 1 on the way into turn number 2. Blue flags waving. Good luck figuring out who is who. That is Pavlovic that has just been overtaken there on the outside, so that is a blue flag. Cava into the second chicane. Oh, and he's oversteered completely onto the way in, and that's given the BMW the opportunity to be back there, but there knew there's no point in unlapping himself. So that's Cava that we're on board with. That isn't Redfern directly in front of him. Redfern already on his way out of the Lesmos. Oh, and he was already almost on his way out onto the gravel there. A bit excitable on the Lesmo exit. And yeah, that was very nearly some dusty tyres there. Did manage to keep that one together. Langer, who's just ahead of him, chasing down Shade in the Porsche. Oh, he's going to have to watch for track limits there. That was getting very acquaint with the outside of the rumble strips there. On his way to Parabolica. Even with that damage, still very quick indeed. He's putting Shade under a fair bit of pressure. If he can get some slipstream going here, he should be in good order for turn number 1. In fact, Jonathan Thel. Let's have a look at turn number 2. This is a battle for podium positions in the pros. Lingard currently third in the pros, Thel in fourth. Thel really is piling it on. Gianluca Luca trying to close in as well. And in fact, Nigel O'Brien, he's caught up to teammate Gunther Deportier. And he's brought Coleman Corkery with him just for good measure. Alec Mielchin making it 4 from 4 for the Wiz team, 9th through to 12th. Deportier, of course, in the silvers. I'm sure he would love to finish ahead a couple of the pro drivers, but given the amount of slipstream he's going to be to give up over the next few corners, I think he might be a wiser man just to perhaps fall back into line, get a bit of slipstream himself. As you can see, Corkery really is closing in. No Ascari woes for these three. How is Thel looking? Oh, Lingard's run potentially a bit deep, and there's no potential about it. Jonathan Thel has seen an opening and he said thank you very much. They're going to go side by side, and in fact Thel has just about got his nose in front on the exit, so it is a straight drag race then between the Lambo and the Ferrari, and they're tearing down into turn number 1. The Ferrari moves over to try and squeeze the Lambo, sits holding his ground. Does Jason Lingard, and he's going to put it round the outside. Is he? They both hesitate on the way in, slides the contacts on the way in. No contact on the way out. The Ferrari has a bit of a wiggle as he almost loses his grip there, and Evan Cairns now gifted double slipstream as he closes in on the two battling drivers ahead. And this battle for the podium in the pros, then there was 3. Evan Cairns is going to be joining in here. And at least one of these drivers is going to be left out. It's most likely going to be Lingard or Thel, given that Cairns is free to pick whichever spot he wants to pop into as soon as one of them tries to overtake or defend. On the way into Lesmos, they are nose to tail. 4/10 of a second separating these three. It's not until right at the last second the Ferrari Thel appearing there. Zach Dahl will be loving what he's seeing on the telemetry board. Coleman Corkery, just for a quick look on his way into Lesmos as well. Still got his teammates ahead of him, and it is still Deportier that is leading the way for those drivers. Thel still fending off the advances of Lingard and Cairns, and in fact Cairns into Parabolica, he looked like he was thinking about that there. In fact, I guarantee he was thinking about that there. Kava Kudasov looking very close at the moment. Zach Dahl then, he is third overall, still leading the way for the silvers. Deportier is second place in the silvers, and Gavin Taylor making it 2 on the podium for Wiz with his McLaren sitting in third. Evan Cairns having a look out down into turn number 1. Look how close he's managed to get there through the middle phase. No contact between the two cars ahead of him this time. King with the fastest lap. And look at that, his fastest lap 147.8, his previous lap 148.1, only 4/10 of a difference. 3.6 seconds is the gap he now has. And in fact, DeLuca, that is, so that's Cairns we're on board with now. DeLuca is, yeah, he's caught right up onto the back of this as well. It's probably a good thing for all these drivers that Michelle is 8 seconds down the road. So it does, oh, and that's been a bit of contact. Oh, and the Wiz cars have come together on the exit to turn number 2. Oh, and there's been an extra contact there. And they made it beautifully through turn number 1. It was Deportier coming under pressure from Corkery and O'Brien. Beautiful stuff between the three of them. The Aston Martin sneaks his nose in front, the Porsche in the rear there. Mercedes makes his way through beautifully then. Oh, gets a snap oversteer there, has a bit of a spin and an unbelievably unfortunate knock-on effect, and then the Mercedes goes to hold his brakes, skids and recollects his teammates once again. So not quite a full Haas meltdown there, just an unfortunate loss of grip on the exit to the chicane, and that's caused a fair old coming together then. It's left Deportier still in first place. Excuse me a second. Yes, so apologies, bit of a annoying tickle in the throat, I will get rid of it. Deportier still in second. O'Brien now 10th on track, so that's 9th. Alex Mielchen promoted to 10th in the pros with that coming together there. Jason Lingard. Okay, so we've just done a bit of confirmation there as well. That after qualifying, Alex Zakdal was in fact promoted to the pros. He was given the opportunity to jump up to the pros, which he took, so full credit to him. And he's given himself an absolute credit. So Zakdal is in fact in third place in the pros, which means that Gunnar Deportier is currently leading the silvers, which means Gavin Taylor is in second, and it is Kieran McGuckin for the GPX Racing Team. 18th overall, but he is on the podium now. Alex Mielchen. Oh, is he just gone past O'Brien? No, that was Deportier having a bit of a wiggle then. So Deportier having a bit of a wiggle. Hopefully not too much damage to the tyres after the spins and the contact that was seen between these drivers. Lingard still chasing Thel into turn number 1. Oh, he's thinking about it. He is thinking about it. Unbelievably close to the back of the Ferrari there, Lingard on the brakes. And he's still got De Luca and Cairns hunting him down then. Slightest momentary lapse in concentration, and somebody is going to potentially lose a lot of positions. O'Brien coming in to take his mandatory pit stop, and Venomith further down the field chasing down Pavlik once again. Pavlik 21st on track, but in fact 4th in the silvers. Venomith currently running 5th place. Just Tushik in 6th, Appleyard in 7th, Paskin 8th, Ferrant in 9th, and Mellon rounding out the top 10 for the silvers. Teru Jacob no longer in the race. Tiethoff, carrying a fair... Oh no, sorry, that's not Tiethoff, that's Redfern with the damage unfortunately there. A lot of damage on that Porsche. And that's it being repaired and dropped. Townsend, the big brain sister car, 28th position. That's just about to come past the pit, so these two are going to end up very close to one another on track. Imagine if that happens, they'll be sharing a bit of slipstream, although Redfern still stationary, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Oh, and in fact, okay. He's not been able to leave the pits. Let's have a look. Gianluca De Luca, he is another driver. Evan Cairns was saying he's been massively benefited by the battle going on ahead. Gianluca De Luca even more so in that case. He finds himself in 7th, and that is 3 positions directly ahead of him. The 2 Ferraris and the Lambo. Zakdal now with the 7-second gap back to 4th place. In fact, no, 12 seconds back. He's 7 seconds down on Van Orman, who's 4.5 down on Darren King. And these drivers ahead, no sign of giving up on any of these overtakes anytime soon. Lingard sandwiched between Thel and Cairns at the moment, hanging right on at the back of Thel though, on the exit to the Lesmos, on the back straight into Ascari. Really is sticking in there, so you can see Cairns didn't quite get the exit that he needed. Already out the slipstream there for Lingard, signalling his intent at every opportunity to try and get that overtake done. Really having to use that steering. Oh, you could hear the loss of grip there. And on the exit to Ascari, his offence is going to turn into defence as Evan Cairns, his Wiz Motorsport teammate, looking to go round the outside, and Gianluca De Luca, oh, he backed right out of that one there. He potentially could have popped his car into the gap left open. A bit late on the brakes there for Evan Cairns, and that gifts his teammate back that position, but it's not done him too much of a disservice because he is once again in that slipstream. The Ferrari hunting down the Lamborghini is still looking for a space. Evan Cairns trying to say that he wants to go up the inside line. He's been forced to take the outside line, heavy on that brakes. They're side by side into turn number one. The Lambo holds on to the position for the moment. Oh, and the Ferrari of Evan Cairns are a bit of a wiggle on the exit, and that has put Gianluca De Luca right in the driving seat. Terrible pun, I know, but it really has put the ball in his court. There we go, we'll go with that one. Into turn number two, he's going to have all the work to do then, but it can be done on the Mercedes. Heavy on the brakes, he's got himself side by side, slightly clumsy. Aston Martin, not Mercedes, slightly clumsy on the way through, bit of contact, but again, the contact physics such these days that both drivers relatively unscathed and continue on. In fact, Evan Cairns hasn't lost any time whatsoever to Jason Lingard ahead of him, despite having to perform that defensive move there to the Aston Martin behind. He's still got himself a very good view of the rear spoiler of the Lamborghini ahead of him. Jonathan Thel as well, still within sight. He hasn't managed to break away while these drivers have been battling. In fact, the gap to Zakdal now slightly down. So too the gap between King and Van Ormen, down to 3.7 seconds. And there is Zakdal coming in to take his pit stop. 28 minutes left of the race. I was just about to say that's an early pit stop to take, but it's not. We're over halfway through the race. Time flies when you're having fun, that is for sure. And Evan Cairns certainly having fun with Jason Lingard. Turn number one once again. He's once again shown the outside line. We've seen what Lingard can do on the inside. Cairns again later on the brakes, looking for the move. Slight bit of door contact on the way through, and the Ferrari does make his way through. Then he's got himself up into fifth position as De Luca watches this one on. So it's down to Evans now then. Can he reply in kind? The Lamborghini looking very quick indeed in that slipstream. He's given the outside line. Oh, Cairns moves back over. Cairns moves back over. Wow, first look there, that looked potentially like Cairns made a late defensive move there. That, yeah, we'll have to let the steers look at that one. I'm sure they will, but yeah, unfortunate contact there between the two teammates, and that has given Gianluca De Luca, two positions as Lingard on the exit to the Lesmos then. Oh, the car just had an extra bit of rotation on that curve, completely robbed him of all his momentum, and Gianluca De Luca, almost right on cue after I was saying he could be the biggest beneficiary here. He's closed right up onto this battle. 2 positions in 2 corners, and that is Gianluca De Luca now 2.3 seconds off of the podium, which is currently being guarded by Jonathan Thel. That's a tricky one at times. Jan-Willem van Ormen in second, back to 4.3 seconds down on the all-conquering Darren King. He nailed it in qualifying. Half a second gap over the second place. And if you look at from third, half a second down from third, there's about 9 or 10 cars So it shows you just how close that was. Alex Zagdal, our highest placed driver that's been into the pits, and there is Langer being given a drive-through penalty for pushing his luck with the track limits. He is carrying damage on the front of that BMW, and he has stoically stayed out. Hasn't lost too much lap time, but has lost his way ever so slightly, and he comes straight in to get that penalty served. He does still have a mandatory stop to take as well, so that is going to be a second trip into the pits fairly soon as well, but only 25 minutes left to go. Darren King looking to finish lap number 18. Slight improvement on his fastest lap, 1:47.877. His closest competitor, Van Orman, with a 1 minute 48.2, so almost 4/10 quicker than Lambo around here. And there's a 48.3, another quick lap there, put in by Darren. He does stay out, so too Van Orman. Thel coming towards Parabolica, and Ian Paskin, I believe that is, in the Audi just ahead of him. Oh, the Audi just losing the back there. A little bounce off the wall, and that wasn't Ian Paskin, sorry, that was Anthony Ferrant. Thel does come into the pits, and it looks like he is being followed in by Anthony Ferrant. There we go, in 26th position. McGuckin, Kieran has come in as well, 4th place. In fact, at a minute he's 3rd, but there is a driver. He is in 3rd place, right enough, because Zach Dahl is in the pros. Oh, Deportier getting all kind of lost there on his way through. Oh, and in fact, sorry, my apologies again. The livery is very close. That was Neil Mellon. Just making a bit of a meal of the second chicane there. Nothing too major though. Lingard into the pits. He's got a 5-second penalty as well. So he is going to be stationary for an extra 5 seconds. The only mandatory requirement, as I mentioned, is that the drivers take fuel. The amount of fuel is entirely down to them. So over an hour, you would expect it to be a 1 litre splash and dash, shows to negate the amount of time needed to spend in the pits. And Kieran McGuckin has given up a penalty a podium position. He's picked up a stop-go 30-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. With 23 minutes left to go, that is his podium hopes done and dusted, you would guess. Oh, Nick Langer's been disconnected from the server. There's Eric Glareham coming under pressure from Kudasov, that is, in the Audi. But yeah, Lingard still in the pits then. I know he's got an extra 5 seconds, but that is a phenomenally long pit stop there for Lingard. What is going on there? Yeah, I'm going to guesstimate that there's been some kind of issue then with Lingard, because 5 seconds or not, that is a monstrously long pit stop. He's already been almost twice as long as drivers that seem to be roughly on the same strategy. And in fact, yeah, he is tumbling down the order. Okay, so we'll see what happens there with Lingard. Hopefully everything okay there for him. But still in that pit. Dan King still in the lead. He's stayed out. 21 minutes left to take his pit stop. Van Orman still out on track. 4.1 seconds down, but still with a comfortable lead over our current podium sitter then. And the way things are going, He's going to hang on to this one because Jason Lingard is still in the pits. So you can only guess that he's had some kind of issue. Oh! And that was Neil Mellon, I believe. Oh yeah, we found him just in the sand there. So that's parabolic problems there for Neil Mellon. That's him back up and running. Is that Langer rejoined? Nope, that is Pavlik in the BMW. He is 16th, so he is now in 3rd place in the Silvers. A couple of pit stops there still to take, but with McGuckin getting that stop go 30-second penalty. That is going to see his chances of a podium all but done. 2/3 of the race has been run. Darren King has led for every single lap so far. He took pole position in qualifying as well. You'll probably take the fastest pit stop out of everyone as well. Such is the level of competition. There is 2 extra points for the fastest lap in the race as well, which Mr. Dalking does have at the moment. Hello there, Dreambound Racing. How's everyone enjoying the new update? I still need to give it a try. The drivers seem to be enjoying it. The contact physics definitely better. The tyre life may be massively reduced based on early info I have. And personally, I found it good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed the new 296, having a quick shot of that. And I tried the 488 with a 1.8 setup just to see what the difference is. And it definitely is, yeah. There is a difference in the tyres, that is for sure. That is for sure. But no problems for the aliens up at the front. Darren, 1 minute 47.877, his quickest lap of the race so far. And just having a look at the timing board there, that is Cava in the Ferrari. Currently behind Cairns. I thought it was Thel, but it's not. He's currently down in 9th now that he's back out of the pits. What we're looking at is Cairns trying to close in on DeLuca. DeLuca gifted 3rd place in the race. Cairns looking to be a bit of an Indian giver and take that position back if he can. Oh, although that is not the Lesmo that he needs if that is what he wants to do. Right through the middle there, 2 tyres on the outside of the green AstroTurf. Again, potential track warnings as well. We've seen a couple of drivers, we've seen one drive through for track limits and 1 stop go 30-second for speeding in the pit lane. Certainly not a group of statistics you want to be added to. Wow, really throwing that Aston Martin through the through Ascari there. Although with the new curbs, or the curbs being a lot more forgiving, that's certainly something that can be done. And just as a fear there, Anthony Ferrant has been given a stop-go 30-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Another driver falling foul of the pit lane limits. 17 minutes still to go on the way. Some of the drivers have been looking over these curbs. I mean, I know the curbs are forgiven these days, but still a lot of bravery being involved. That is right on the edge of the limits there. Just goes to show you how competitive some drivers can be, though. And that's why they win things, let's face it. Darren at the moment 5 seconds ahead and still absolutely pushing every single millimetre of the track he can. Let's jump on board. Oh, he's maybe pushed his luck a little bit there. Doesn't want to a massive penalty, that's for sure. Van Omen only 4.9 seconds down the road. That'll be why he's pushing as well, let's face it, he knows. The slightest mistake or anything happens, caught up with some blue flag traffic, Van Orman will not be long in closing that gap. I was going to say, I bet you now we've jumped on board to watch a lap with him. He comes into the pits, but it's not to be. So he will stay out. Let's have a look and see what the leader sees from the front into... Wow, he's braking at like 150 metres. That is insane. That might have been even closer. Look at the rotation he gets on that car. Opens up the steering beautifully, as well as piling on the pressure. 2 laps remaining. Notification that the driver that received that penalty still to take it. Through Blassono and into the Secondo Variante. Again, absolutely. Oh, there's De Luca coming into the pits from 3rd place then. Cairns promoted. We'll see how close they get and where indeed Zakdal comes out. Blue flag there, right round the outside. King and the Lambo tearing past then. De Luca still in the pits. In fact, let's leave this lap. In fact, yeah, let's stay on with the Scari. Have a quick look. This is the corner that's caused a few issues. Oh, look at him over those sausage curves. Exit a bit neater that time around. Let's see where Alex Zakdal is. So he is through. De Luca's just on his way out. So Zakdal still on the podium then. Despite everything that's gone on, and that's a good gap that he's got as well. Over De Luca, with De Luca behind Mielche, and Mielche's still got to take his pit stop. Pavlik catching up to Cava down the order as well. Not a points paying position, not a points paying overtake. Pavlik and Cava. Oh, Cava with a big save on the exit to Ascari there, and into Parabolica. That is going to be a job done for Pavlik. Moves himself up to 15th overall. Oh, and the Ferrari. How was he held on to that there? The BMW gave him a little bit of a touch to straighten him back up. But that could have been a whole lot worse here for Cava. If we'll have a look. Oh, no. We just missed that there. But you can see the extra steering input there. Just to keep the Ferrari righted. And as he came across the track, he did make contact slightly with Pavlik, and I think that might have been what saved him from a complete 180-degree spin. Pavlik up into 15th overall. He now sitting in 3rd place in the Silvers. After McGuckin giving that stop go 32nd, he now finds himself in 8th place in the Silvers. With Melin, Appleyard and Jastuschak ahead of him. Vinema in 17th overall, 3rd in those Silvers. Let's see if Darren comes in to take his pit stop now. Nope, he had a quick look like he was going to pop in, but not to be. Van Orman stays out as well. Evan Cairns just making his way into Ascari. And yeah, for the drivers that are taking, if they're only taking on 1 litre of fuel, the best way to do that would be at the end of the race. It means that your car is lighter for longer. Although, not that 1 litre makes a massive amount of difference. But yeah, certainly run the tyres down. Run the fuel right down to the cars as light as possible. Before coming into the pits, Coleman Corkery right on the back of Michela then into Parabolica. The Aston Martin closing in beautifully then. Michelle having a bit of a moment on the way into Ascari, and that's given Coleman the momentum to close up. As he comes, oh, it looked like he was going to go into the pits there. Decides against. Potentially see if he could shake Coleman free from the slipstream. Coleman, a wily campaigner, not falling for that one. into the braking zone at turn number 1. The Aston really good on the brakes seemingly versus the Ferrari there. It's all about the exit though. The Ferrari, just about does a bit of a wiggle as he gets back on land there. Carver Venema into the pits along with Glairam from the top 10. He's got a 5-second penalty to serve with a 16-second gap over Kudasov and 20 seconds over O'Brien. So as long as he has a nice slick pit stop, he should retake that position when those two come back in to take their pits. Neil Mellon's in the pit as well, 23rd position. Yeah, there is Anthony Ferrant as well, 24th. And Coleman Corkery in 5th place. Still chasing down Michela then. This is the closest battle. And as we play right into the hands of Zach Dahl, he knows that a podium is on the cards. Although if he keeps taking a Scary like that, a trip into the pits for a drive-through penalty will be on the cards. The battle ahead of him should present him opportunities, although these two, I believe, still need to take their mandatory pit stop. Kings stayed out for another one, and it looks like Corkery is indeed coming in to take his pit stop. So Zach Dahl will retake that position. No free slipstream even for Zach Dahl from Corkery. Mielchin coming through as well. Michela on his way out at turn number 1. As Corkery pulls in. King himself already on his way into Parabolica. He's starting to catch up to 20th position. He's staying out for another lap. Van Ommen staying out for another lap as well. Evan Cairns. Still a chunk down the road, although that gap wasn't extended the last time Van Ommen came past the pit. Cairns was, again, just on his way into Ascari, sorry, I was waiting to say Parabolica. In fact, that's Ascari he's on his way into. So he has lost a bit of time over that lap. Glairam still in the pits. Cava and Mellon in there as well. Not many drivers left to take their pit stop. Kudasev still needs to take his, and then it is the top 4 on track. Alex Mielchin as well needs to take his pit stop. That needs to move. It's not moving. There we go. There is Mielchin. He's got to take his pit stop as well. There comes Michela then. Another driver was temporarily up into 3rd place. Zach Dahl retakes that position. Cairns still to take his pit stop. And there's only 7 minutes left to go. 1 minute 40. What is Cairns doing at the minute? 1 minute 48.9. 1 minute 49.3s. Zach Dahl 49.6. So Cairns, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to stay out, obviously, as long as possible. Try and stay ahead of Zach Dahl. It is a fairly big ask. Zach Dahl only 25 seconds down the road. O'Brien's only half a second down the road from Kudasov in the Audi. And the Porsche getting a whirldy on the exit to Parabolica, and you can see visibly how much is closing in on that Audi. Glairam still stationary in the pits as well. O'Brien to within half a second. Yeah, O'Brien's definitely closing in. And that is for the final place in the top 10. Deportier's back out on track from his pit stop. He's in first place for the Silvers. Pavlik in second. And it is Yatsushak. I will get that right at least once this season. Yatsushak finds himself third in the Silvers. Garber behind him in the pros. Then it's Anthony Appleyard in fourth place. Kieran McGuckin was on the podium in the Silvers and got a stop go 32nd for speeding in the pit lane during his pit stop. Oh, Brian and Kudisev having themselves a great little battle. Oh, he's tried to go right round the outside. He's had to put it onto the gravel, and O'Brien is still in the hunt then on his way into Parabolica. The Porsche having a look up the inside, not to be though. He's now shown the outside door from the Audi. Nicely done on the brakes. The Porsche trying to get the nose rotated into that apex. Oh, he's got the cutback done right up the inside. Beautiful move there by O'Brien on Kudasov, because Kudasov answered back on his way into turn number 1. As I say, this is for top 10 honours here. O'Brien in 10th, and it's Kudasov who comes straight back at him in a straight line. The Porsche, rather famously, still outgunned in a straight line by most cars. Not as bad as it has been in the past, I've been told. Oh, and on the exit to turn number 1, the Audi really hasn't got the job done there. And the Porsche definitely has. You can see O'Brien absolutely side by side. Evan Cairns comes in to take his pit stop. You would assume Zakdal's going to retake. Oh, a little bit of contact there. They've got it through the corner. Oh, beautiful manoeuvring by the Porsche here. Absolute commitment on the steering and the acceleration. And O'Brien making that move stick then. 10th place is his reward. There's Evan Cairns taking his pit stop, and there is Alex Zakdal retaking third place. Cairns leaving the pits. There's Alex Milchin coming through. Now, Milchin hasn't taken his pit stop, so given how close Cairns is, you would feel he's going to get that position back again. Excuse me. So Milchin is at the moment just ahead of Cairns. Cairns, of course, has taken that pit stop. There is Van Ommen coming into the pits here. It was a good few laps there. He closed the gap to 3.6 seconds. Oh, and Darren King's in the pits as well. What on earth has happened there? Oh, and one of the back markers has had a moment through a Scary, and that has collected the race leader. Oh, Neil Mellon's been caught up as well. The Lamborghini trying to get traction to get going again. And that is how the race lead has been lost. I did say it could potentially come down to how they cope with traffic. No one could expect anybody to cope with that. The car involved just completely losing grip through Ascari, and absolutely nothing Dalkin could do there but watch as teammate Jan Willem van Ommen takes the lead of the race. I did wonder why Van Ommen seemed to be stationary in his pit box, as he is now, while Darren King is still on his way to the pits, and that is exactly why. An unfortunate contact with a Ferrari, and that has seen Darren King's lead lost and handed to Jan Willem van Ommen. Oh, the big brain Mercedes just popping himself out of the way there. Van Ommen avoiding contact, making his way through. Alex Milchin comes in to the pits. Garber's already in there. Glaram's still in the pits. Hopefully not having any issues. Neil Mellon, 23rd place at the moment. A few drivers have unfortunately disconnected from the server. Garbers and Milchin, those two into the pits as I mentioned. Darren King, fastest driver on track, in second place and carrying a bit of damage on the front of that Lamborghini as well. Oh, telling damage as well. As you can see, the car completely unpredictable for him through Ascari, and that is going to cause him issues. Thankfully for him, only 1 minute 27 seconds left on the race clock. I've said it a few times over my sim racing duties in the past few days and weeks. It's an ill wind that blows nobody some good. Jan Willem van Ommen has been on the receiving end of some fortuitous luck. Over 4 seconds down on a dominant Darren King through the opening exchanges of the race. A Ferrari, I believe it was Vittoria Cava, unfortunately lost grip in his car and found himself an unwitting passenger through Ascari and collecting the race leader. Jake Rose still looking for an overtake. He's still trying to get his way past Kudasov now that O'Brien has got that one done. O'Brien closing in on Mielchin. And in fact, they're going to go side by side into Ascari, the two Wiz Motorsport Porsches. Formation stuff then, as O'Brien gets that overtake done. Finds himself up into 9th place then at the expense of his teammate. But here is Jan Willem van Ommen on his way into Ascari for the final time of asking, the very site where he was gifted the lead of the race when a wayward Ferrari collected the race-leading Lamborghini. O'Brien and Mielchin, actually, have they re-swapped positions? No, they've not. The timing board just hasn't updated yet, but that is, there we go. So they've got another lap, but here is Van Ommen, 7.5 seconds then, the damage for King. Definitely slowing him down, but here it is, the checkered flag being waved. The FFS Racing Aston Martin crossing the line, and it is Jan Willem van Ommen that will take the top points haul from race number 1. Second place and the bonus 2 points for the fastest lap will go to a surely disappointed Darren King in the Lambo. Not so disappointed that imagine Alec Zakda was due to run in the silvers, was promoted to pros after quali, and he's got himself on the podium with that type of pace and consistency. Definitely one to keep an eye on over the rest of the season. Evan Cairns will cross the line and he will get himself 4th position. Jonathan Thel, in fact, I have got a sneaking suspicion that might have been the Ferrari that was caught up in that incident, because he's now in 7th position, closing in as he is on Coleman Corkery. It is going to be too little too late. It's Gianluca De Luca for the EOS Esport Racing Team. He's going to cross the line. He's going to get himself 5th place. Phenomenal drive there. Coleman Corkery is going to get 6th with Jonathan Thel in 7th place. Michelle in 8th, O'Brien and Mielchin 9th and 10th, and it's going to be Gunther Deportier popping open the champagne for Wiz Motorsport. He is bringing home the silver win. Pavlik and Yatsushak have both been given the checkered flag, 2nd and 3rd in the silvers. And here across the line, Gunther Deportier taking the checkered flag for the win in the silver. So congratulations to him, Ostap Pavlik and Volodya Yatsushak. I'm really going to struggle with that one. Apologies. And of course, huge congratulations to Jan Willem van Ommen winning the whole race, and the pros Darren King. Oh, how close it was in 2nd, and Alec Zakdal literally promoted to pros during qualifying and gets himself on to the podium. That doesn't want to work, but that does. Excellent. We'll just very quickly bring up the final results. Go. And yeah, there we can see confirmation then. Dan King took pole position in qualifying. He's taken the fastest lap in the race, taking second place. Zach Dahl third, Cairns and DeLuca fourth and fifth. Corkery and Fell 6th and 7th, with Michelle O'Brien and Milchin finishing inside the top 10. Rose and Kudasov 11th and 12th. The full results will, of course, be available on the SimGrid website, so make sure you get yourself on there. Get yourself, of course, into the Wiz Motorsport Discord as well. Get yourself involved in the racing and get up to date with everything that they have got going on. This, of course, round number 1 of the Track Titan GT World Tour, sponsored by Track Titan and Formula Setups. There we go, with prizes on offer for the drivers thanks to Formula Setup. 2 lucky winners will receive setup bundles, and courtesy of Track Titan, the top 3 finishers in the golds and the silvers will receive first place will get a 1-year subscription, second place will get a 6-month subscription, and third place will get a 3-month subscription to the Track Titan Plus membership. So prizes well worth winning there. Massive thank you to the sponsors, Track Titan and Formula Setups. Make sure you jump onto their websites and show them some support and thank them for supporting sim racing leagues. That is all we have time for this evening. Round 1 at Monza never disappoints. As I said, the calendar does mimic the SRO Esports, so the next event will be May the 9th. That's going to be Paul Ricard, and then shortly after that, May 16th for Bathurst. Bathurst will be 2 30-minute races. So too the race after that, a couple of weeks separating, is June the 13th for the 2 30-minuters at Spa. So make sure you hit that follow button, get the notifications on, and get yourself involved in the racing. Thank you once again to Track Titan and Formula Setups. Thank you to Wiz Motorsport for putting on the event, and to everyone that took part and said hello in the chat. And we had follows as well, my apologies. Funky Monkey, Quigs and Zeus77 all giving us a follow during the race, so thank you very much for that. I hope you were entertained. More of it to come. I'm off to see if I can console Darren in any way, shape or form after that unfortunate contact, but that is the highs and lows of sim racing in one 60-minute Monza outing. I'm sure I'll see you back for more. Until then, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your evening, have a great night. Good night. It's broken, why won't it stop?